Indonesia, it's not just a country, it's almost an entire universe, a vast archipelago made up of over 17,500 islands, and each island feels like a different culture, a different language, a different world. Indonesia is the fourth most populous country in the world. At the same time, it holds the title of the country with the largest Muslim population. Islam here lives side by side with Hindu rituals in Bali and animist traditions in Sumatra. How can such immense diversity exist together across such a huge land? The official language is Bahasa Indonesia, but the people speak more than 700 local languages. You might read one street sign in one dialect and come across another just 5 steps later. This diversity is sometimes a richness and sometimes a source of conflict. The heart of the population lies on the island of Java. The number of people living there is nearly equal to the entire population of Turkey. The capital city, Jakarta, is also located on this island. Heavy traffic, skyscrapers, and flooding are all part of daily life here. In Indonesia, tropical rain isn't always a blessing. It's often a sign of crisis. Each year, thousands of people become homeless due to flooding. City infrastructures can't handle both the growing population and the forces of nature. The slow sinking of Jakarta is the most striking example. Yes, the capital is literally sinking. Some parts of Jakarta are sinking several centimeters below sea level every year. Because of this, the government has decided to relocate the capital to the island of Borneo, the new capital, Nusantara. But it's not just cities that are changing, lifestyles are too. Young people in Indonesia live a Western life on social media, but a traditional one on the streets. Free on TikTok, yet still silent at home. This dual identity creates both resistance and contradiction. Women in Indonesia are educated and active, but also must be cautious. In some regions, wearing a headscarf is mandatory. In others, it's entirely optional. Social pressure can be even more influential than religious rules. For many women, clothing is more about safety than expression. Economically, the country is growing fast, but the development is not equally distributed. While Bali boasts luxury resorts, some villages in Papua still don't have electricity. Indonesia's development is as fragmented as its geography. Tourism brings major income, but this tourism mostly revolves around Bali. Outside of Bali, many regions watch people emigrate rather than welcome tourists. Young people want to move to bigger cities or abroad. Natural disasters seem to be written into Indonesia's destiny. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, tsunamis. Indonesia sits right at the heart of the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Earth's crust is constantly in motion here. The tsunami of 2004 is still remembered. Over 220,000 lives were lost. That pain became etched not just in Indonesia's memory, but in the world's. Since then, Indonesia's battle with nature has officially begun. Education is a right, but also a privilege. In rural areas, getting to school can take hours. Some children cross rivers in baskets just to attend class. These scenes reflect the harsh truths of developing countries. The population is very young. The average age is under 30. This is both an opportunity and a risk. Youth unemployment could lead to social unrest. The country is big, but not rich. It has plenty of resources: natural gas, oil, gold, yet most of the population struggles with poverty. Wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few. Digital transformation is fast, but uneven. Everything is online in major cities, while in rural areas, cash is still king. There are huge gaps in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Two different Indonesias exist in the same country. On one side, women in headscarves. On the other, tourists in miniskirts. On one street, the sound of the call to prayer. On another, nightclub music. Indonesia appears to live peacefully with its contradictions, but sometimes these tensions erupt. Identity confusion fuels social friction. And of course, religion. Islam is not the official religion here, but it's deeply influential. The state is secular, but the role of religion varies widely by region. Sometimes religion is not just faith, but a tool of social control. This is the end of part 1. In the second chapter, we'll talk about Indonesia's political structure, social imbalances, and the unseen restrictions shaping daily life. If you've watched this far, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Now let's move on to part 2. There is democracy in Indonesia, but not everything is entirely free. Elections are held, but the media is largely controlled. Criticizing the government may seem allowed, but the boundaries are clear. Cross the line, and you might be silenced quickly. Over 200 political parties have been founded in the country, yet true power lies in the hands of a few major parties. Coalitions are frequent, but ideological differences often remain superficial. Politics revolves around personal interests and ethnic representation. In short, democracy exists in form, but its content is still widely debated. The government is highly layered. The central authority is strong, but local governments hold significant power in their regions. This creates liberal environments in some areas and ultra-conservative practices in others. Depending on where you live, you might face entirely different rules within the same country. For example, the Aceh region enforces Sharia law. In this area, drinking alcohol, committing adultery, or even violating dress codes can result in punishment. These laws do not apply in other regions, deepening the cultural divide within the country. Freedom of expression is highly limited in Indonesia. Criticizing religion, the state, or the military can have serious consequences. You can be imprisoned for something you post on social media. That's why people practice constant self-censorship, even in their own country. Journalists work under pressure. Media outlets that publish critical reports may face economic sanctions or lose their licenses. Independent journalism is becoming increasingly difficult each year. Censorship not only suppresses content, it suffocates ideas. Life is also tough for LGBT individuals in Indonesia. While not officially banned, they face widespread social exclusion. In some regions, LGBT people are subjected to violence, and most of the time, the state turns a blind eye. There seems to be progress in women's rights, but full gender equality has not been achieved. Women take active roles in some professions, yet they remain underrepresented in decision-making positions. Many still see women as belonging primarily in the home, which slows societal development. Child marriage remains a serious issue. In rural areas, families may marry off their daughters early due to economic hardship. This robs girls of their right to education and greatly limits their futures. Although the government wants to stop this, enforcement is weak. There are major disparities in the education system. Private schools are common in cities, but rural areas lack classrooms and teachers. Public schools are overcrowded and underfunded. As a result, educational inequality is widespread. Unemployment is a major concern among young people. Even university graduates struggle to find jobs. This drives brain drain. Every year, thousands of young Indonesians try to leave the country in search of a better future. Working conditions are far from fair. Minimum wages are low, working hours are long. Women and children are often exploited in the informal sector. Labor rights and workplace safety exist mostly on paper. Healthcare faces similar inequalities. Private hospitals exist in big cities, but rural areas lack even basic care. Medical services are available to those with money, and almost inaccessible to those without. Government policies fail to reach everyone equally. Environmental problems are growing. Forests are disappearing fast, especially for palm oil production. This threatens not only nature, but also the habitats of indigenous communities. Protests against this destruction are often silenced. Religious freedom exists on paper, but is limited in practice. 6 religions are officially recognized: Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Catholicism. Communities outside these recognized faiths are excluded from many public services. This creates invisible lines of discrimination within society. Indonesia's cultural heritage is rich, but this richness is being turned into a commodity for tourism. Bali, for example, is no longer a cultural experience. It has become a tourist performance. To see the real Bali, you have to go beyond the crowds. As the country modernizes, traditions are being left behind. Young people now watch Western TV shows and listen to Western music. This widens the generational gap. Elders speak of tradition. The youth demand freedom. On the surface, everything may seem fine in Indonesia, but deeper down, there are vast inequalities, forms of repression, and silent cries. This marks the end of Part 2. In Part 3, we'll explore Indonesia's future, its potential turning points, and what transformation could look like. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share the video. Now, let's move on to the final part. Indonesia wants to look to the future with hope. But there are crises to solve and taboos to break. This country stands out not only for its natural beauty, but also for its ongoing social struggles. And now, it finds itself at a crossroads. Vision 2045 is Indonesia's new national goal. By the 100th anniversary of its independence, it aims to become one of the world's top 5 economies. But this vision can only be realized not just through development, but through reform. Education, justice, freedom of expression, all need to be redefined. The population is young, but the decision-makers are old. There's a significant gap in vision between generations. The youth want freedom, the elders want continuity. This conflict could lead to social rifts in the future. Internet in Indonesia seems free, but surveillance is widespread. The government's power to monitor digital activity is growing. Freedom risks becoming just a word that appears on a screen. On the surface, society seems united, but internally it's divided. Ethnic and religious tensions sometimes turn into conflict. In Papua, separatist movements are active. The state often responds to these with force. Urban transformation is underway, but it's excluding people. Neighborhoods are demolished, and the voices of residents go unheard. This widens inequality even further. Women are more visible, but not necessarily safer. While freedom may be growing in cities, social pressure remains strong. Patriarchal norms are still deeply embedded even within modern life. The climate crisis is hitting Indonesia directly. Sea levels are rising, droughts are increasing. Farmers and fishermen are struggling to survive. When nature is lost, so is the future. Investment is increasing, but the people don't always benefit. Development is happening, but it's not fair. The young population holds great potential, but if not guided properly, it could trigger crisis instead of progress. Education reform is essential. Youth must be prepared not just for exams, but for life. Creativity and critical thinking should be encouraged. Indonesia is a land of both opportunities and threats. On one side, youth, nature, diversity. On the other, inequality, repression, fragility. What kind of future will be built between these contradictions? True transformation won't come from technology, but from a shift in mindset. A freer Indonesia is possible, but only if it first faces its truths. If you've watched this video all the way to the end, I applaud you. Content like this only gains meaning thanks to conscious and curious viewers like you. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. See you in the next video, and take care.